Did you see a neurologist?
To find out if I'm crazy?
And they wanted to medicate me every day. You realize, like, they could have just switched to medication and I wouldn't be here. And on the news, they would have said it was because of a mental issue.
There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams. And she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such.
This industry is a monster.
At a time like this, if I was on medication right now, then one pill could have been swapped out and it would be Michael Jackson and Prince all over again.
They're trying to kill me. The whole time, they're trying to convince me I'm insane. They were trying to get me to take psychotic medication. Yeah, like I'm sitting around, I was stressed out, but the people that were telling me I was insane, I believe that they knew what was going on.
Anybody could look at her and tell this is not just alcohol. There's something more going on.
Wendy Williams is in peril. And if she does not get help right once, the elites will undoubtedly succeed in getting rid of her. Hollywood is a location where celebrity and riches frequently coexist, but it is also a place where odd ailments attack some of the most well-known celebrities. The strange part is that the majority of the victims are among the most powerful beings you will ever encounter on the planet. If that's the case, why do they suddenly become ill with diseases that no one seems to be aware of? Only the elites know the answer, and they appear to have complete control over who lives and dies. Wendy Williams is one of the most courageous TV hosts, tackling some challenging topics. She didn't mind who she was facing. When it came to executing her work, no one stood in the way. But just as the elites attempted to silence Dave Chappelle, Kanye West, and many others, this appears to be what is happening to the legendary TV host. I mean, how does someone go from this to this in the blink of an eye? What exactly is happening to Wendy Williams? Right now, she's moaning about a variety of issues. People stole all of her money, and she is now bankrupt. And now people are calling her insane. However, this is not a new problem in Hollywood. Kanye West vividly described what occurred to him. Listen to this.
I'm saying is, look, they tried to medicate me. I was exhausted. They wrongly diagnosed me. And they when I asked them, how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly? It took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount, right? And I refused to take this, right? You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here, and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though.
Well, they would have Britney Spears too. I mean, look.
They would have Michael Jackson,
or worse.
He would have been really upset. We miss him. We adore his music, however. Well, they'd also have Britney Spears. I mean, they could have Michael Jackson or worse. Fortunately, Kanye West outwitted them. But I know their objective was to keep putting him on the wrong medication, then drain him financially until he couldn't afford proper treatment and died. When this approach failed, they dubbed him insane so that others wouldn't pay attention to him. I haven't been back to the hospital since 2015, but every time they call me insane, it's because I'm telling the truth. So, what's the crazy part? The same thing happened to the great Dave Chappelle, which Cat Williams discussed.
Dave Chappelle was decapitated in front of us. They called him Pilot Boy because he had 19 pilots in Hollywood, and everybody passed on him and said his show.
What do you think of?
Then when he made $500 million, they said even though his contract said he should get half of it, they said he made too much for the contract to be valid, so we'll offer you 10% of what you made. You mean he made $500 million and they offered him 50? Yes. And he said, what do you think my fans are going to say when they find out you offered me 10% of what I made you? And they said, your fans will believe that you're a crazy crackhead by the time you get home. And my nigga got on the flight in LA, and by the time he got to Ohio, it was so.
One thing you must understand is that those who poison or kill us are not strangers, but people with whom we share meals and consider family, people we believe are safe to be with. If you watch the Dave Chappelle and Oprah Winfrey interview, you'll understand what I'm saying.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14. And I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
Okay.
When I saw
when you
these
say you
things.
heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories?
I mean, you see before, look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, "They're trying to kill me."
Yeah. Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time of their career where it seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Yeah. Would you say you lost your mind, sort of?
No,
No.
not exactly.
Okay.
I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I felt like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress.
What about Jamie Foxx? He inexplicably became ill, and no one knows what the cause was. His former doctor warned us there was more to it, and even challenged him to speak up. Unfortunately, Jamie Foxx is too afraid of the elites. He only told us a few information about what happened to him, but you can tell from his eyes that the experience was heartbreaking for him. Wendy Williams is going through a circumstance that we've seen many individuals go through, and I appreciate that some people aren't afraid to talk about it. Let's hear Kanye West explain what happened to Michael Jackson, Prince, Bruce Lee, and Brandon Lee.
Michael Jackson not waking up one day, Prince not waking up one day, Bruce and Brandon Lee, Bob Marley, all of these things have crossed my mind.
Slain by the elites as a result of their beneficial global effect. Kanye West has repeatedly exposed the elites for tearing down anyone who does not match their narrative, which many people have agreed with because they have witnessed this happen to so many different people. When the elites are unable to control or murder you, they will devise a strategy to eliminate you, either by turning the world against you, like they did with Tupac, or by declaring you insane so that no one listens to what you say. Kanye West is the perfect example. The Chinese government is thought to be responsible for the killings of Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee, while Prince and Michael Jackson were assassinated because the elites were unable to manage them. The elites were terrified of their power. That is why they chose to get rid of them. Prince and Michael Jackson both owned their masters when they died. Michael Jackson owned half of ATV, the publishing business that controls Beatles publishing. Sony held the other half. Unfortunately, following his death, the estate sold Michael's part to Sony, giving Sony complete ownership of ATV. We all know what actually happened to him and who got rid of him. The elites also assassinated Bob Marley, another brilliant and important figure. Many admirers believe he was assassinated, which makes sense considering the following. In 1976, there was an assassination attempt at his home, during which his wife Rita was shot in the head and Bob Marley was hit in the chest and arm. 1 year later, he was diagnosed with acral lentiginous melanoma. Was this a coincidence? I have severe doubts. Kanye West was also subjected to the same evilness. Fortunately, he lived. When they failed to assassinate him, they dubbed him insane in the hopes that people would disregard anything he said, which also failed. The next alternative was to take all of his money in the hopes of silencing him. But that did not work either. Kanye West believes that the elites exist to persuade those who do not agree with them to join them. That is why they attempted to kill him. Drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed of having a disorder that would have had me on medication right now. Then one pill could have been swapped out, and it would be Michael Jackson and Prince all over again. But because I didn't take the misdiagnosis, and I didn't take the medication, I'm able to speak to you guys clear of thought and transparently. You know, as I'm going and saying I need to innovate what these contracts are not just for me, but for all. It is not about obtaining my master's degree back. It's about freedom, and I declare in a new song that if I put myself in danger to obtain my master's, they'll put themselves in danger to keep their masters. And there is a complete similarity between the way the music industry works, the way the world today operates, America's impact on other countries, and how governments work. The impact and the way the government and those in power and control deal with, disaster relief, dealing with Haiti. Disaster relief, dealing with Haiti. Deal with disaster relief with Haiti.